transformation for women is an indicator to the needs that the ANC Women's League are prioritizing. These being a quick, fast tracking of economic empowerment, and secondly, the dynamics and the development of their social standing in terms of tradition and culture. These issues, Madam President, have always been regarded as a thorn in the lives of women. And I want to believe that women sometimes feel that women sometimes feel left out, mainly on issues of economy. Madam President, our nations have worked tirelessly to assist women as much as they can. The theme for this conference is so appropriate and debatable. However, the main issue here is practicality. We need action. We all endeavor to see and witness socio-economic transformation and inclusive growth being key state priorities in our countries. There is need, therefore, to mainstream policies and programs that promote radical socio-economic transformation for women. Madam President, there can be no radical socio-economic transformation and cohesion without recognition, mainstreaming, and promotion of women in an effort to improve their economic and social standing. As most of us still bear the brunt of social problems such as inequality, poverty, discrimination, and domestic violence. Women need policies that will propel them onto a higher development trajectory as a way of building a more equitable society. In conclusion, Madam President, let me applaud the work done by the African National Congress Party and its Women's League for their efforts in building a strong, united party and protecting the beliefs and programs meant to uplift the people of South Africa in general and women in particular. Ngabe amakhosikazi kawakho, maybe ANC ngayiwina ama-election. So hlalani liwina, but in order for ANC ukuthi iphile, i-liberation movement ikhokhelwa ngabomama, asiboneni ukuthi we are united. Asiboneni ukuthi sisebenza ndawonye. Keep up the good work. On behalf of ZANU-PF Women's League, may I pledge our support and solidarity towards your struggle during this transformation period. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mama. Comrades, sibonga kakhulu kumama who gave us a very powerful message of support. Comrades, quickly now we're going to call comrades from SWAPO, Comrade Petrina Angaro.
Yes, thank you.
Amandla! My boy!
Thank you, comrades. Let me acknowledge the presence of the Secretary General of ANC, Comrade Kwete Mantashe, Sorry for the pronunciation. And the Deputy SG, Comrade Fesi Tuate, the President of the ANC Women's League, Comrade Angie, and the NEC member of the ANC Women's League. I want to recognize, we also voted Mama Dlamini Zuma. Thank you so much. All delegates, fellow compatriots. The Namibian delegation want to acknowledge and appreciate the warm hospitality we have received since arrived in this beautiful country, South Africa. Please accept warm solidarity greetings from the President of SWAPO Party, His Excellency Dr. Hage Geingob, and the entire rank and file of the SWAPO Party. We feel honored to attend this 12th National Conference of the ANC Women's League under the theme, Radical Socio-Economic Transformation for Women. I was thrilled when I hear that this radical change in socio-economic. I wish you well. And the SWAPO Party Women's Council want to learn more from you, comrades. I think the time is now for women also to have, to own big companies, like to own mine rights, fish quotas, you mentioned but a few. We should not always be in a small businesses, but the time is now for us to change for the sake of our husbands, our children, and ourselves. Comrades, we are here to illustrate the strong relations that have long existed between our two parties and indeed between the two people of the two sister republics. These relations between our two parties dated back during our liberation struggle. Namibia gained its independence in 1990 and South Africa, if I'm not mistaken, 1994. After Namibia gained her independence, the people of Namibia worked closely with ANC and its government. A lot has been achieved between the sister parties and its government. And we thank the President Zuma when he pledged to give us 100,000 because Namibia, we are suffering of the drought. Thank you so much. Namibian women are doing well. We have also adopted the 50-50 gender representation in our constitution using zebra style. Black, red stripes, like that. Now, as I'm talking to you, in the parliament, the 6th parliament, we have 46 women representation there for the first time in the history of SWAPO. Our Prime Minister is a lady, and the Deputy Prime Minister is also a lady. We are mean business. Our Minister of Education, there are two ministers and deputy minister. They are both women, and many other things. All this we thank our former President, Pohamba, President Hage, for standing with us because we believe where there is a will, there is always a way. I want to encourage you, comrades, that in this conference, please focus on issues affecting women. And let us find possible solutions to address these issues. I have seen that you are addressing gender-based violence. unemployment, diseases such as cancer. Cancer is killing us. We need to go back to our branches to talk what solution can we bring to solve our problems. Drug and alcohol abuse is also another issue among our youth and among our people. The Namibian delegation want to wish you a fruitful deliberation, and I trust that the election for the new leadership will be conducted in comrade manner, meaning unity of purpose. United we stand and divided we fall. Will not allow ANC Women's League or whoever SWAPO to divide, because our hero and heroines will not be peaceful in their grave. Let us move together as one nation, because it is only teamwork, only unity we can move us ahead. Those comrades who are going to emerge victory, I wish you well. And remember, the rural women are suffering. We need to work towards policies which can change the living condition of our people. In this resolution, I hope it will address all those what I have referred to. And please, we want you to take ANC Women's League and indeed Africa to new heights and another era of accomplishment. I thank you, comrade. We salute you all. ANC forever. Viva SWAPO, viva! Viva ANC Women's League, viva! Saluta!
Malibongwe! Viva a united continent, viva! Thank you very much, Mama. We are going to quickly call upon the comrade who is now to address us, and that comrade is Comrade Khan Suwari. Can Comrade Khan Suwari please come forward? Comrade Khan Suwari is part of the delegation from Saharawi. Amandla! Amandla! Gawe, too! Thank you very much.
Amandla. I'm not from Sahari, you know that. But I'm coming here to apologize, to convey the apology, because on behalf of my sister Salma, who's the Deputy President of the Pan-African Women from Sahari, I'm just coming to apologize. She's been called away on an urgent matter. And I'm just coming to convey the gratitude that has been expressed and the thank you to the ANC Women's League for the solidarity that the ANC and the ANC Women's League and all South Africans that are peace-loving have shown for the suffering and the struggle of the Sahrawi women in general. We congratulate the ANC Women's League for this conference, and we trust that the continuation of the solidarity work that is required for the relationship for women will grow from strength to strength. I thank you.
Comrades, this is Auntie Bibi, man. Thank you very much, Auntie Bibi. Comrades, siyakuba. Siyasebenza. Siyakuba. Thina siyasebenza ku-ANC. Thank you very much, comrades. Comrades, now we are about to get into the next item. There's a cry, comrades, that majority of Green Mamba is outside. The Green Mamba, comrades, is hosting these people. Therefore, the green mamba can't be outside. Can the leaders of delegations please assist us? It cannot be that, comrades, asifuna ukukhuluma ngenye ilwimi. Asisenzeni kahle maqabane. Leaders of delegates, please assist us in this regard. Comrades, we are now done with messages of support. We are now going to call upon Comrade President of the ANC Women's League to come and table her political overview. And comrades, you are a good conference, and keep it just there. Ekhaya bayanihalalisela bathi sibahle siyabonga basibheke TV asiyibambe lapho makhosikazi. The president of the ANC Women's League, Comrade Angie Mutsecha, please come forward for you to table your akabesi.
Dumela, leadership Dumela, leadership Dumela, leadership Dumela, 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 leadership Dumela, Dumela. Amandla leli lizwe elamakhosikazi asoze aphela amandla leli lizwe elamakhosikazi asoze aphela amandla 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 leli lizwe elamakhosikazi asoze aphela amandla 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 malibongwe malibongwe viva President Jacob Zuma viva viva Jacob Zuma viva long live the president long live viva ANC viva Viva COSATU, viva! Viva SABC, viva! Viva the Youth League, viva! Roar, young lions, roar! Roar, young lions, roar! Viva our Veterans League, viva! Viva the Veterans League, viva! Malibongwe! Malibongwe! Wathinta abafazi, wathinta imbokodo, wathinta abafazi, wathinta abafazi, wathinta abafazi, wathinta abafazi. Long live the ANC, long live. Long live the Women's League, long live. Comrade, Chairperson of the session, Nobala, Secretary General Mamuno Tolash, Gembeko Nuguztoba, Manbulisi, Inkokeli, the ANC is Kokelo Nobala, Weto Simtanda, Utatu, Wetu Mandash, Ehamba Pambil no Mamuje, Situat, Sitloni leadership here to ANC, Yonke Jobasi introducile, Kidumen Seketapeli, Ya ANC, Women's League of Fela Hayona, our NEC, Kidumedise, Kokels, Zama Province, the leadership Dumelang. Kidumedise leadership ya the region. City Emasebeni, Amanda Semasebeni, Pambili, my brother, Pambili. Pambili, my delegates, Pambili. Viva, my branch, viva. Viva the unit of the ANC, viva. Viva the heartbeat of our organization branches, viva. Long live the branches. Comrades, let's also acknowledge with respect our alliance partners, our friends that are here from SADC. Long live the partnership, long live. But also acknowledge we have a standing partner, Gift of the Givers, comrades who are always with us when we visit communities. Long live Gift of the Givers, long live. Long live. Program Director, it is indeed a great pleasure to welcome all the delegates to this 12th National Conference of the ANC Women's League. We welcome all of you delegates from different provinces. Indeed, you constitute 90% of this conference according to Rule 14.4.1 of the Constitution of the ANC Women's League. Comrades, from the outset, I must express sincere gratitude to all delegates and the various leaders of the ANC Women's League who have made this conference possible. Siyabulela maqabane. Conference the ANC azikho lula ndithi. Fantu ku-auditwe, upasi audit ngathi sesikolweni. Kunzima. Siyabulela maqabane. Today's national conference indeed is a testament that the ANC Women's League is alive and well. The 12th national conference is more than just a forum for the election of new leadership of the ANC Women's League, but again, it is a very important process of injecting new life into the organization. An equally important, comrades, is the fact that the conference offers a momentum for reflection, for commitment and renewal. And as an organization, we can only survive if we constantly review both our leadership and our policy positions and make sure that they are aligned at all times to the material conditions of the time. But comrades, before I even start with the speech, Comrade Nobala, I must be candid to also with you, comrades and friends, that we are converging today 15 months later than we should have convened conference. And I think you deserve an explanation, comrade. You deserve an explanation, and it, because this is completely problematic. Comrades, once we were supposed to have gone to conference in 2013, after running an audit, which was supposed to show whether we are qualifying to go to conference. We discovered that we don't make the 70% threshold because there were issues in provinces which, maybe I should mention that amongst others, the Eastern Cape, Eastern Cape, Amanda. When we conducted the first audit, Nopal, only 6 branches qualified. We went back, 20 qualified, and I must say, today Eastern Cape is the biggest delegation at this conference. So for that, comrades, we are very grateful. And why we couldn't go in 2014, siyas makabanti beku elections here. And the conference is a heat. That's why singandana nje ukuthi hayi makabanti masihlise umoya. Zibana lento engekho mnandi. So, and that's why, comrades, and we really apologize for that, because when we failed to make the 70% threshold, we then had to focus on elections in 2014. I'm not saying it's an excuse, it should not have happened, and for that, our apologies, comrades. Siyabulela maqabane. Comrades, there were many challenges, as I say, that confronted us as the League, but however, through your sweat and soil and the steadfastness of our comrades to reconstitute branches, regions, and provinces, as the Women's League, we can boast that indeed we continue to be a vibrant entity of the League, and we have persevered. Hence, comrades from all provinces, regions, and branches of the ANC Women's League were here, having their membership being accredited in conformance with our constitution. Comrades, we take this opportunity on behalf of the leadership collective here with me to thank you, comrades, for your tenacity during this audience challenge, and details which will be provided in the Secretariat report. We can assure you, comrades, that everything possible was done to expedite the process. But I'm glad that we are here. We stayed the course because we correctly believe that we are on the right side of history. And equally important, Comrade Nopala, we are indeed indebted to the ANC National Executive Committee for the constant and selfless guidance and support during these challenging times. So siyabulela Nopala nenkokheli ANC from all levels. Chairperson, comrades and friends, the 12th National Conference of the ANC Women's League takes place as our beautiful country celebrates its 21st anniversary of the 1994 democratic breakthrough. We are indeed celebrating peace, non-racialism, non-sexism, democracy, and prosperity. Again, this conference takes place during the month of August, when we commemorate and honor the pioneers who braved the icy steps of the Union building on the 9th of August 1956 on the might of apartheid regime. We do indeed owe the stalwarts of 1956 an immeasurable debt of gratitude for their bravery. South Africa would not be where it is today if it was not of those courageous women and stalwarts and true servants of our people. Again, Program Director, this year also marks 61st year of the Women's Charter, and the Charter recorded unambiguously the aspirations of women, and in part it called for equal rights with women in relation to property, marriage and children, and for the removal of all laws and customs that deny women such equal rights. That's what the Women's Charter said. And it has been 97 years since one of our own, an industrious and visionary woman named Charlotte Maxeke, launched the first formal women's organization, the Bantu Women's League. In this epic year, we also celebrate with pride and excitement the 60th anniversary of the adoption of the Freedom Charter. And the Freedom Charter, I want to quote, said in its opening statement that the people shall govern, and indeed the people are governing. But it unequivocally stated that every man and woman shall have the right to vote for and to stand for as a candidate for all bodies which make laws. Indeed, our well-known renewed constitution and democratic, non-racist South Africa is predicated on the text of the Freedom Charter. Consequently, we can proudly say that there is no legislative or institutionalized exclusion of women in our country. Indeed, we have a lot to celebrate, comrades, including the 25th anniversary of the release of the late President Nelson Mandela, affectionately known as Umadiba, from 27 years of incarceration by the apartheid regime. Okay. Comrades, chairperson and friends, as we celebrate the Women's Month during this month of August, it is very important to continue to learn from the lessons from the actions of our predecessors. These were the generations of leaders who took up the struggle not only in the 60s, but as early as the 90s. And they coordinated their campaigns, which were pointed and relevant to the needs of our people. At the same time, we must recognize that, yes, we are our own generation, and we have challenges of our time, and we should spur on in the direction that we should take in order to deal with challenges of our times. Comrades, I'll just quote from the Constitution that the 12th National Conference of the ANC Women's League, amongst others, should revive internal democracy in our structures, cohesion, discipline, participation, membership control, comrades. Because even in provinces where we were failing audits, the problem was membership administration more than anything. It's not as if there was not work happening in those provinces, but there were problems with the management and the administration of membership. And just continue the culture of debate in our organization. We must continue to mobilize and unite South African women to participate in the struggle for liberation and oppression, and continue to spearhead the objectives and policies of the ANC. We always say we're ANC first, so we have to indeed to make sure that as women, we're in the forefront of spearheading the policies of the ANC and those of the Women's League, and amongst women in particular. Promote the all-rounded development of women and help in building their confidence and to interpret their needs nationally, develop a national consciousness, patriotism, and a sense of accountability amongst our women, young, old, disabled, employed, and unemployed. We have to continue to combat discrimination in public and in private life and in institutions, campaign for the adoption and implementation of affirmative action programs to combat the past legacy of gender and racial discrimination, and cooperate with democratic organizations for the promotion of peace and development locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally, including campaigning for the fostering of the culture and recognition of women's rights as basic human rights and not a favor, and defeat the perceptions that, it also is confirmed by the many questions that were asked by the media, that there is a public perception that we are an organization that is at war with itself, caring about none but itself, whose leadership, bearing a few saints, are socially distant and have lost the moral high ground. I denied that, comrade, but I think our resolutions, our actions, even throughout the conference, have to help me confirm that I said we are not an organization at war with itself. We're a united organization whose commitment to serving people continues. We're not self-serving, we're not distant, we're not cynical, and we're not, as I say, every other thing that we are painted as. So as a current generation, we must ensure that the ANC Women's League continues to enjoy the long-staying power of its members, while at the same time must have the power, the nectar, and the fragrance to attract young, middle-aged, and older women to its fold. Nobel was boasting that even in ANC structures, there really is a staying power amongst members of the League. 2 weeks back, I was went to rope a 105-year-old member who has been a member of the ANC, has never had an opportunity to be formally given her blouse. So women have a staying power in the ANC. We stay forever. So we attract young people, women with disability, but so going to the 26 local government elections, comrade, the ANC Women's League must reposition itself for coherent and participating campaigns that will only win the ANC these elections, but will position the ANC Women's League as the home of all women in South Africa, cemented together by a common goal to liberate and emancipate women from all walks of life, both young and old, from the yoke of patriarchy, which my chairperson from the province spoke about. Chairperson, comrades and friends, we continue strengthening the renewal of the Women's League, but what we should do is to drive and energize all of us to accomplish at this conference. Comrades, I'm sure you will agree with me that women's emancipation requires a prolonged strategy that will address women's political, social, and economic needs. And this multi-pronged strategy should address the shortages of women in corporate boards. Because in politics, we've done our part, Makabani. It's not zebra. We've done relatively well, but there are problems, and as you can see from the documents that we have produced for conference, that there are shortages of women in corporate boards, in corporate senior management, in science, in academia, in technology, in commerce in general, and in other sectors of society. So the strategy we develop should give guidance on social, political, and economic issues, not limited to women and poverty, unemployment, lack of land ownership, capital, and means of production, as well as health challenges. But it should also help us, as the comrade from Namibia said, to address issues of rural women, women who are in the fringes of our country, women in farming communities, and women in informal settlements, and make sure that indeed their needs and their challenges are being addressed. But in our country, the scourge of gender-based violence and the threats of the well-being of women, particularly women in rural areas, must be addressed as a matter of agency. We should, all as South Africans, be highly intolerant of the abuse of women. We should frown, Comrade Nopal, at instances where there's an ongoing case where a partner cuts the genitals of a woman and leaves her paralyzed and bound to a wheelchair. I think it's a problem, and indeed, not only us as women should take up. As a country, we should deal with this scourge of violence, because it has even gone to a level of hate crimes, because it can only be a hate crime. We all have work to do to emancipate and empower women of now and the future. Women who are socially, politically, and economically dependent. Women who are free from domination and exploitation. Women who have opportunities equal to those enjoyed by men. Women living in an environment where they are free and able to develop their physical, emotional, and mental powers and faculties, where women feel safe and are indeed safe, where they can choose their occupation with corresponding with their wishes, inclination, and talents, and enjoy working conditions equal to those of men. We say all this very mindful of the fact that, Chairperson, that patriarchy, unlike racism and other social challenges, is subtle and difficult to fight against because it is embedded in the socialization of societies. Comrades, friends, and Chair, the immediate task of the ANC Women's League is to confront the challenges of patriarchy. Because the problem with patriarchy is that it masquerades itself as an ideological construct of a system encompassing ideological beliefs, values, and practices underpinning the organization and structures of society, and resulting in unequal power relations between men and women. This also results in the subordination and the subjugation of women in all spheres of life, beginning with the family and continuing to be reinforced by social practices and various institutions, including education, work, religion, culture, and arts. So these pseudo-ideological masks of patriarchy are presented as God-given or as part of tradition and culture. Hence, there is always an expectation that women must just follow. In reality, comrades, we all know that patriarchy is nothing but a socially constructed misunderstanding of what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman. It is a socially imposed division between sexes. It extends itself to spheres of influence, to physical and psychological attributes of women, as though these were impediments to performing tasks that are done by men. So it is our revolutionary task within the ANC and society to be midwives of women's emancipation and advocate for radical transformation of gender relations with the sole objective to achieve real, meaningful gender equality. We must, comrades, continue to be critical voices and conscious of the African National Congress by unapologetically raising awareness about the negative effects of patriarchy within our movement and broader society at large. We must sustain this revolutionary task and carry it forward until every woman and child can achieve their optimal freedom of gender equality in a lifetime. We must preach in and every corner across the length and breadth of our countries that gender equality is a fundamental human right and is an essential prerequisite for achieving a gender equitable society. Comrade Chair, as we are preparing for this conference, we had conversations with officials, including the President, and President Zuma asked me a very pertinent question during one of our conversations. He asked me what the ANC, and particularly the ANC Women's League, should do differently to address the emancipation of women and further develop the political and social power. So he recognizes that we have the power that we have within the ANC and the ANC Women's League to turn around situations in our community. And I do hope, Comrade Chair, that this conference will indeed help us as this conference to respond to these questions which the President had asked, and I guess the leadership of the ANC. On the lips of many, the question is whether the ANC Women's League is unafraid to discuss and call for the future president of both the ANC and the Republic of South Africa to be a woman. Isihlalele imithi. Ithi mina ngithe abafazi abakhe already. Bengubani mina to say abafazi abakhe already. And comrade, I've always said, and I want to repeat to you as my leaders from branches again, that as women of this country, we have always been ready to lead at any level of society since time immemorial. And as women, we've always been capable to lead. Our forebearers did prepare us for this eventuality of leadership. We must remember, which I always boast about, that the Women's Charter preceded the now famous Freedom Charter. Nabona ngathi khona into ebizwa charter. Nabonthi asilandeleni. So dala sikhokhela maqabana siqala ukukhokhela. So history is littered with examples of impeccable abilities of women to organize, mobilize, and lead. So this conference should, amongst others, comrades, because there are also questions that were left unresolved in our earlier discussions. Comrades will recall that, amongst others, around the ANC conference in 2012, we had started a discussion advocating for the recognition of sex work through the approach which we thought it should be an approach which embraces the women's dignity. Though under the current legal framework, comrades, there are laws that are used to deal with perpetrators of human trafficking. But in practice, we all know women fall through the cracks, which criminalizes prostitution. And unfortunately, many of our members, and I think I can mention Umeli and Limpopo, when we were already raising debates in our structures, she said, Banabak, please wait for us to pass Sisbubele before you call sex work prostitution work. But by the time you reach that stage, allow us to die first, because we will not be able to call prostitution work. And it really created lots of difficulties, but I'm saying, comrade, let's talk about it. Because we had raised the discussions, we had developed position papers. Even the other chairperson of the league, when we were really having this discussion, she walked out to say, hey, my comrade, I'm controversial, but I don't even want to be part of this discussion. I think even the president of the ANC, Nobada, did say to us, how does a father tell people that her child is working when she's a sex worker? Say, why is your child working? He says, no, she works as a sex worker. She says, nyan, nyan. What are we saying? So those are difficult subjects, but the fact is, sex work has serious implications for women. What are we saying about it, comrade? Because we had said, let's talk about embracing dignity. And the topic had to stop. TG at some stage had gone to the radio, and the callers fluked her so much, insulted her so much. She came back to say, comrade, please don't field me again on this topic. I can't handle it. It's too much. It's too hot. But those are the hot topics we have to deal with. But also, comrades, at this conference, we had also made resolutions that, as I say, some are holy cows, but the mere fact that they affect women, we have to speak about them. Comrades, we were at the Beachwood conference. We'll recall that, amongst others, we made proposals around sections referring to traditional practices which are harmful. We did say, as one of our proposals, that harmful practices that negatively affect the fundamental rights of women and girls must be prohibited in our country. In this regard, the Equality Act Section 8A does stipulate that unfair discrimination on the grounds of gender includes any practice, including traditional, customary, or religious practice which impairs the dignity of women and undermines equality between women and men, including the undermining of the dignity and the well-being of the girl child. And we did say at that policy conference that these will include ukutwala, virginity testing of girls younger than 16, and with conditions of girls, and killing of elderly women as witches. And the approach that we adopted was an overarching advocacy strategy, awareness raising, rights education, and awareness of legal measures that can be taken. It therefore came as a surprise when the issue of virginity testing arose in the media in relation to our policy proposals. It was now presented as Angie Mutsega's crusade against other cultures. And I really want to appeal, comrade, that indeed, as the ANC Women's League president, I was merely communicating on behalf of the Women's League the proposals of the National Policy Conference. And it was not my personal fabrication. So, it was not my personal fabrication. So, as a current serving president of the Women's League, I had the responsibility to represent what was proposed by the appropriate structures of the movement. So, it is quite clear that, comrade delegates and plenary, that because I can read what we said around the proposal. We had said, and it's contained in your book too, we said at the policy conference on virginity testing of young girls, this custom must be abolished as it exposes the young child to rape, incest, abuse, and sexual violence. That's what we said. So, and I agree that comrades may indeed, now that we're at conference, have different views. And on the matter, we must be honest, comrades, and agree that the proposals were taken collectively and that the proposals were communicated. And if indeed, as branches, you really want to open the matter and discuss it, we're saying, amandla, akuni, amasebe. You can open it and discuss it. Those were policy proposals and they were not cast in iron. So those are the things we have to go out and discuss. Again, in the Secretary General's organizational report, we list a number of laws passed by government to empower women, and in our policy discussion framework, which we did submit to the ANC conference in 2012, we acknowledge that all these progressive laws still give us still need to give us a de facto equality. There are progressive laws, but we can all agree that we are not equal. They've not made us any equal with men. So we need to discuss to say, how do we make this de facto equality? Right? Or the de jure, the legal equality. Yeah, the de jure equality, which is legal equality, to be a factual quality. And those are some of the things we have to elaborate in our commissions to say, indeed, the government has been very cooperative. It has really worked very hard to make sure that there is no institutionalized discrimination against women. But the fact of the matter is, women still continue to be unequal despite any institutionalized discrimination against women. And let's debate and say, what are the things we have to put in place to address those? Because indeed, comrades, a lot has been achieved by our country. So that whilst we continue to raise issues that we need to debate, to promote our equality, but you also have to celebrate that a lot has been achieved. Because if you look at the demands of the Women's Charter of 1954, the majority of them under the ANC-led government have been achieved. And according to the UN report, only 22% of all national parliaments worldwide are female. If you take the general statistics, there are only 10 women who serve as heads of states in the world. There are only 14 women who serve as heads of government in the world. But Rwanda has the highest number of women parliamentarians, which stands at 63.8%, and can celebrate ourselves as South Africa, that was second in the world in terms of women participation in the mainstream politics. And it's an achievement that we have to constantly celebrate and monitor. And it was with this kind of reality, comrades, that in reality of statistics, driven by a long-term vision of a wholesome woman with total emancipation in mind, that as the ANC Women's League leadership, also at our National Policy Conference, we did focus on the following strategic areas that we hope will serve as a springboard to accelerate the real meaningful emancipation. Inter alia, we did discuss and made proposals about organizational renewal. Because indeed it's very important, comrades, that we continue to have a strong, vibrant, and an organization with structures which have integrity. Not bogus structures or fly-by-night structures, but structures that are alive and on an ongoing basis can take battles for women. We also discussed at our policy conference issues about women and the economy. Comrade, but women were bemoaning the fact that when we speak about women economy, corporates, just organize women as cooperatives. And women say, one real money. It's long cooperatives, but let's talk about real money, real companies, real economy. The quotas that the comrade from Namibia was raising, we're saying we want to talk about real money. It's long cooperatives are but that's not where it starts and ends. So we also do hope that again in commissions, we will elaborate on the proposals that came from commissions. We also had lots of discussions around women and health, and because 2015 is a year to revise and assess if indeed as countries we've met our MDGs. It's very important also because most of these MDGs relate to women. So it's very important to reflect on them and see if we are making progress. We did discuss gender-based violence. As I said, it is a very serious scourge in our country that we have to address. We spoke about women in education and women in the world. And we later held a roundtable to look at women in the National Development Plan, about international country reports that we had submitted in 2015, and also discuss the Traditional Leaders Bill, and those are contained in your documents. Comrade Chair, it is not funny, but very true that Amandla Semasebeni. And not because branches are not only key during conference processes, but they're very important so that they can articulate policy directions for the organization and decide on the organization's leadership, but are a lifeblood of the ANC. So it's very important because ANC conference is 90% of branches. So decisions taken here are your decisions. So the implementation of these decisions is also a joint responsibility because it's decisions taken with you. So if we resolve on gender-based violence, no one is going to do it because we are the ones who are going to resolve what we do with gender-based violence. So which means when you get back home, you don't wait for anybody, you implement that which we've discussed here, right? Because these are joint decisions. So I thought I should raise that, comrade, because sometimes you get concerns to say, what did the province do for us? You ask yourself, what did you do with the resolutions? Yourself, where you are. It is a branch of the ANC Women's League on whose shoulders lies the historic mission to serve the people of South Africa with honor and dignity. The founding fathers of the ANC in 1912 stated that this glorious movement is established to serve the people of South Africa by uniting the African brothers and sisters and to spearhead their struggles for fundamental political, social, and economic change. So as we know today, the site of struggle to achieve this is located in the basic unit of our movement, which is the branch. It is at the branch level where vigorous debates and campaigns to defeat patriarchy once and for all must begin. Hence, during our term of office, we did strive to ensure that there were always viable branches in different provinces. In the Secretary's report, we will indicate that in this term of office, we've increased our branches from 1,704 to 2,415, which is an increase of 711 branches, which is a 41.7% growth. And this will match with the growth in membership. But in commissions, we hope that we'll do a further analysis of the growth trend as well as risks militating against the growth of membership and branches. Chairperson and friends, it will be amiss if this conference that we do not reflect on what appears to be a dissipating of dignity and decorum of Parliament. I really beg that we do that. We must always remind ourselves that the National Assembly and the Council of Provinces are houses of the people, whose sole purpose is to advance the interests and aspirations of our people. We therefore, as this league and this conference, should, with absolute contempt that it deserves, that we really reject with absolute contempt any effort on any attempts to undermine and subvert the will of the people, especially the heckling of our president and also the heckling of our leadership. We should condemn that. Because it's not heckling of the president, it's the heckling of the ruling party, and it's the heckling also of all of us who've elected their leadership. And we should condemn it with the strongest terms possible, comrades, and call on all people who represent us that we use the powers that we have to restore the image of the House and the confidence of our people in our ability to discharge our duties with dignity and respect. On leadership, cadre, and relationship with the ANC, comrade, traditionally, comrades, the Women's League draws, as the Women's League, we draw our broad principles from those that we jointly develop with the ANC. Because we're first ANC members, so the policies of the ANC are also our policies. The Polokwane and Mangaung conference, and even the Rustenburg conference, continue to reaffirm the ANC as a strategic center of power to provide leadership to the state and society as a whole. So the commit to a non-sexist society has always been part of the ANC policy. And as a result, the ANC has been in the forefront of women's struggles. I always hear people say, in ANC, you don't seem to have power. That's what they do. I'm saying, but we're ANC. So we are saying in us, there's no power to convince ourselves to do the thing. So who's this ANC? As if there's another ANC which is not us. That ANC is us. So there's no other ANC outside from us. So, comrades, it is therefore very important that we always, as the leagues, manage and maintain a healthy relationship with the ANC as our mother body. It cannot be we as women, it cannot be the ANC that as women are currently subjected also, Chair, to the leadership, sometimes ANC leadership, who has the audacity, and I call it audacity, to instruct us on who to choose, as recently happened in other provinces and regions. Because this, Chair, is nothing but abuse of office and relationships, and should be condemned in the strongest terms. Because patriarchy, Chair, does not only create unequal relationships, But patriarchy is also abusive, it's selfish, and it has to be condemned at the strongest extent, because we have seen a trend that we've never experienced before, where ANC leadership has been completely arrogant. Being told as an organization on an official platform by ANC chairs and regional chairs on who to choose amounts to abuse of office, I want to say. And we must reject it in no uncertain terms. As ANC, we continue to be the integral part of the ANC, but we remain autonomous, right? Yes, we can be lobbied, we can discuss, but surely we can't be told who to elect as our leaders. Comrades, I always use the tree analogy to illustrate the importance and the interconnectedness of the various motive forces in our democratic revolution. So undermining any functioning of the parts of the tree, for instance, is harmful in the long run of the entire tree itself. Otherwise, you don't need branches. You don't need leaves if you're not going to recognize them and their role and their importance. For us, the struggle to destroy patriarchy requires us as women to be more assertive and brave and fight for our space and rights and say no to abusive tendencies, not only outside but also in the ANC itself. Our leaders in the ANC should treat us with absolute respect because we deserve nothing and expect nothing less. Amanda. Comrade Chairperson and friends, the 12th National Conference of the ANC Women's League must revisit the absolute need to reassert the movement's revolutionary morality and values, including the values of service to our people, of human solidarity, of humility and selflessness. The movement must entrench the centrality of discipline, of respect, of commitment amongst its leaders and members. A leadership cadre that espouses these ideals will be the leadership that can rebuild the ANC Women's League for the future. And to illustrate the importance and the supremacy of the organization, comrade, I will quote from what Mama Charlotte Maxeke once cautioned us against, as early as 1913. This work is not for yourself. Kill the spirit of self and do not live above your people, but live with them. If you can rise, bring someone with you. So, comrades, our task is to mobilize the cross-section of women's population to identify and become members of the ANC Women's League. We must organize young and old, poor, the middle class, and the rich to join in our struggle in order to realize women's emancipation. We must consider who comes into the Women's League and clearly define the role and stratas within the movement. For instance, we must be able to check that young women must be attracted in the movement and space created for us to benefit from their skills, but also from their age. For us, the Women's League must focus at a singular focus that should be on the conditions of women. We must be visible in commerce, in community structures, in churches and other religious formations, in the media and intelligentsia, in academia, non-governmental organizations, and more importantly, in all the structures of the ANC. And I'm glad we are, I'm told we are 60% of the ANC membership. So speaking Amanda, the SG told me that we are 60% of Lentlangan. Comrades, we must be there when women cry. We must be there when they celebrate. We must be with them when they fight their own local struggle, and equally be there when time for time comes. And again, Comrade Chair, using the analogy of a tree, we're saying the ANC is one giant baobab tree. Its success lies in having strong roots, branches, which is ourselves, leaves, as well as constant supply of water and essential nutrients. So that water will be politics. In this regard, the ANC Women's League must provide the necessary oxygen supply for the ANC to survive. So our branches generate the leaves. It must draw its strength, its sun, its food from us. And if you undermine any part of your tree, that tree is going to die. At the heart of the ANC Women's League, comrade, and the future of our growth lies unity of purpose, Maqabane. I was saying to comrades, 9 we'll still be members of the ANC. After all this is said and done, on the 9th, we'll all be members of the ANC Women's League. And we still need each other. We're going to an elections campaign, comrade. We'll need each other. So, so I really do believe and hope, comrade, that the code of conduct we adopted it meaningfully, comrade. We don't need to keep an amehlo. We don't need that. Was 9 So if we can leave our eyes here, comrade, how do we suppose the 9th, we have to continue as members of the ANC Women's League. And next year, 2016, we have to work together from wherever we are to make sure that our organization grows and succeeds. But if Sizokatana license churches, comrade, it won't work. The bigger thing which should drive us is that by the 9th, we will still all be members of the ANC Women's League. So that's the biggest prize. We'll continue to be members of the ANC. So, comrade, there's no crisis. We have to place a premium on unity. Chairperson and friends, unity will allow us to focus on the task at hand as a collective. We must remember the work that we do is not for our self-aggrandizement. We have on our shoulders the historic task to defeat patriarchy. Above all this, we are mothers, very youth league. This is a serious challenge. So we have to walk straight, I'm told, by the youth league. There's a Somali proverb which says, where there are no women, there is no home. So which means no shelter, therefore, it means we're the main pillars of our society, like the young league member said, who without there is no means of joyous life. That's why I said Lelilizwe Lamakosikazi, comrade. In our movement, we always sing that Lelilizwe Lamakosikazi. So both the song and the Somali proverb are spot on. I can assure you today that our struggle to achieve gender equality has multiple benefits. Because empowered women and girls make healthier choices for themselves and their families, and this results in a society developing. The United Nations Population Fund says, I quote, if you educate more women and girls, you'll automatically reduce poverty and improve the general health of communities. I close quote. So, comrades, I won't read all what we have, because some of the matters are going to be raised in commissions. That indeed, comrades, in our policy conference, we also made constitutional amendment proposals, and the main idea around these amendments that we made at that policy focus is to focus on a wide range of areas that are critical in building the resilience of the ANC Women's League and enhancing its capacity to continue the strategic role of providing leadership to the people of South Africa, as well as ensuring that there's total emancipation. Again, at our policy conference, we did look at organizational development, and the guiding theme there was organizational renewal, organizational management, building a campaigning ANC Women's League, gender mainstreaming, leadership in society, and broadening the base of the ANC Women's League and its capacity and cadre development and governance. And responding to the inputs emanating from the organizational renewal, it became imperative to affirm that the African National Congress Women's League has to do lots of work to reach those objectives that it has set itself on. Comrade, again, in our policy, in our policy conference, we could not miss to reflect on gender-based violence. So on crime, we did propose that crime statistics, we had invited the Commissioner for Police, that we're proposing that they should be published regularly, as opposed to once a year. And that as the ANC Women's League, we must monitor and evaluate the police and courts' turnaround times relating to gender-based violence, and advocate for equal rights for lesbian, for gay people, bisexual, and transgender communities. We further highlighted and condemned the killing of women, especially elderly women, because of being accused of practicing witchcraft, and we called upon the criminal justice system to be sensitive to the gendered nature of these crimes against the elderly. Comrade, we will distribute, especially our guests, the speech here, because some of the things we're raising here, because we will not be able to participate in commissions. We thought we should lift up some of the issues that we'll be raising in commissions, but also we will circulate the speech. We did reflect on issues of health, around the promotion of good health as a tool for radical social economic transformation. We spoke about continuing to improve access and improving our healthcare system, including continuing to mobilize the ANC Women's League structures to mobilize our communities to support government initiatives. On land, we bemoaned, Nopala, that there's still major challenges around access to land. And again, we said we must give women access to productive land and strengthen the concept of home gardens. We also propose on job creation and access to employment and livelihood. Comrade Naledi, who is the chair of the Education and Health Subcommittee, we also noted, and I'm very glad, Comrade Enopala, that the heads of ANC policy units are here also to participate in our commissions, because we do need a marriage between what we resolve and those resolutions of the ANC, so that there can be a seamless continuity. So we're very grateful and very thankful that we have sent us the ANC leadership, which is also going to participate with us in commissions. We did note that we have made progress in the areas of education, including the challenges, but then we propose that further work has to be done to improve access, especially in higher education and training opportunities. We agreed to undertake structured programs of rolling out campaigns that support all our work in education, and did reflect on questions of access to ICTs, on maths education for girls, but also on safety in our schools. And my appeal, Chair, I almost jumped basic education. I would have shortchanged myself. We made a special appeal to focus on the future of the girl child. And we are of view that the future of the girl child in the 21st century rests on our shoulders as women. And we want to posit that we can accelerate the struggle for gender equality if we pay more attention on the education of the women and the girl child. In our communities, we must ensure that every girl child has an equal opportunity to attain requisite levels of education without any impediment. So we want to appeal to this conference to take seriously the recommendations. If you open your files, there's book 2 where we had made these proposals, and we do want our conferences or our commissions to elaborate on them. So we have already succeeded in persuading the ANC-led government that in order to institutionalize gender equality across state institutions, there must be a gender mainstreaming approach. And this is evident in the establishment of the gender machinery across government. And as I say, I'm very happy that the ANC policy heads, Nopala, are going to be part of our commissions, because indeed we need a seamless integration between the issues raised by women that impacts on them. Because all the time, and Nopala keep on mentioning Nopala ANC, cooperatives, batsho nje bathi ewe zilungile kodwa imali yenyani, bafuna ikhampani, bafuna into ezivakalayo nabo maqabane, bafuna ifirm ezithi bona bathi masibambisane nesigovernment, singabe sithetha into enye ukuthi hayi abafazi mabaziqokelele babe zi-cooperatives. Zilungile maqabane kodwa hey sifuna imali angithi namaqabane yenyani. Because what is nice about us, asizwiki asod. So in conclusion, Chair, comrades and friends, I cannot stress enough the importance of our branches. Our branches should be centers of our activity. Our regions must support and monitor programs of branches, and our regions should act as centers of our work, as structures closest to branches. And province must equally support regions through both policies and provincially and nationally led campaigns. We need to look closely at how we activate these structures. Let a branch adopt a minimal platform of action. We must have regional programs of action, and again, similarly, provinces must have an overarching provincial program of action. We will escape the blame game if we all do our work. We won't have individuals asking who has done what before they can account on what they have done in their communities to take forward what had been agreed at different platforms from branch to national resolutions. My humble appeal, comrades, is that let us go back to our people and mobilize gender equality and avoid losing ground in our communities. We need to claim back even the lost ground. So addressing the 53rd ANC conference, Comrade Jacob Zuma had to say, I quote, "The future of our revolution and of our country is in our hands, and we must carry forward the work needed for social and economic emancipation of our people." So starting today, we need to prepare ourselves for this journey towards socio-economic freedom for all our people, especially women and girls. We must spare neither strength nor courage in pursuing this historic imperative for the full emancipation of women. Comrade Nobhala, asinamona, asinamanga, asinanzondo, sithanda i-ANC, siyayihlonipha, sizoyisebenzela ngesikhathi zonke. Mandla!
Injalo, ineba yakhe, injalo, ineba yakhe, injalo, ineba yakhe, injalo, ineba, ewe injalo, ineba yakhe, injalo, ineba yakhe. Women's League, viva! Malibongwe! Igama lamakhosikazi! Wathithi Bokoto! Wathithi Mama! Amandla! Comrades, can you please give President of ANC Women's League a round of applause by having articulated a political overview in the 12th National Conference of the ANC Women's League. Thank you very much, Comrade. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Comrades, now let's prepare ourselves to go to lunch. Comrades who are dealing with that aspect are going to come closer to come and tell us exactly where are we going to have that. But I must also indicate to say, comrades, coming back, we really want to thank our very important guests who were here, both from the international community as well as media. There's a program for our guests, especially our sister organization. The next session after lunch will be a closed session. Savannah Makaban. But also, comrades, when we get out, there's a little bit of a problem. When we get out, coming back, there's going to be head count. Comrades, we really want to appeal to provincial executive committee or leader of delegates to please, after quickly let's come together so that we can agree on how we're going to process people inside the hall. Siyavana Makabani. And comrades, we really want to appeal to you to say, please bear with us. We need to do that. We really need to do that. So comrades who are given a responsibility to lead their delegates must just be available. And please, comrades, if you don't come through what we have agreed upon, you might not be able to participate in the closed session. Amandla! Comrades, also Panga Semva, let's take time. There's going to be a stampede. There's going to be a stampede at the back there, comrades. Please move to such an extent that we don't push each other. I'm calling upon Comrade Violet to come and tell us. Thank you very much. Amandla!
Amandla! Amandla! Comrades, after those good speeches, we are going to announce where we are going to die.